Yes, guys, we are back with another full draft strategy guide. Today, we are building a league-winning fantasy football team around none other than my 101 this year, the best running back in fantasy football. Hopefully the best player in fantasy football, Bijan Robinson. Now, why are we so interested and so high on Bijan Robinson? A good way to put it in like layman's terms would be, I view Bijan as the Josh Allen of RBs. And I understand that's not entirely true from a career log and a fantasy finish over the career standpoint yet. But I view Bijan just on the verge of RB1, RB2, RB1, RB2 for the next couple years. Similar to a prime Christian McCaffrey, if you will, when healthy. The reason I think this is because Bijan had the highest weekly RB1 finish rate. So what I mean by that is last season, weeks 6 through 18. So the back 75% of the season, right? The last 75% of the season. He finished as a top 12 running back in 83% of games. So week 6 through 18, that would be 1 game, 2 game, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games. He finished as a top 12 running back in 10 of those games. Okay, he had a bye week. Week 11 versus Denver, he was an RB3, 10 points. And week 15 against Las Vegas, he was an RB2, but still almost 15 points. Okay, no other running back in that span had a higher than 70%. It was actually a nice 69% from Jahmyr Gibbs as an RB1. So 14% difference there for Bijan Robinson's floor. His floor, Bijan Robinson, is the highest of any single running back in fantasy football this year. Running back is a very, very shallow position for high-end talent. For example, I view wide receiver as the opposite. You can get Drake London, Tyreek Hill, JSN, Ladd McConkey even, maybe 30 picks into drafts. And those guys can go head-to-head, honestly, with Puka, with A.J. Brown, with Nico Collins, BTJ, those first-rounders. They can go head-to-head with those guys. Not a lot of running backs are going head-to-head with Bijan. Okay? CMC, Achane, Barkley, Gibbs. There's like 4 guys who you can line across from Bijan in your matchups and go, maybe, yeah, 50-50, sure, maybe, 40-60. Okay, so not a lot of guys can go floor for floor, I'm trying to say, with Bijan. Compared to all other running backs, while we're on the subject, I think his workload, his floor of pure touches is better than Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs is my RB2. He is a tier 1 overall player for me, top 3 player in drafts. I prefer Bijan based on the workload. There is no David Montgomery. All right, he still exists. He has more experience, Bijan Robinson does, than Ashton Genty. And I am very pro Genty. Genty is a top 6 player for me in fantasy. But Bijan has more experience. Historically, Bijan has less risk than Saquon Barkley. There are a lot of historical trends that suggest for us that Saquon will not finish RB1 overall again. There are a lot of historical trends that say Saquon, there's a low percentage chance he finishes a top 10 RB. There, I said it. Just based on the touch leaders from the previous year at the RB position, it's kind of a curse for running backs. All that being said, Saquon's still a top 6 player for me. All right? We're just going, we're nitpicking the elite running backs here. And quite frankly, Bijan does have less injury risk than CMC and Achane, which I think we can all agree on. So in round 1, and again, I just want to give you guys the draft guide to follow. If you have a top 2 pick, top 3, top 4, you can get Bijan. Follow this draft guide. I do believe it will be quite the league-winning team build, and we will do a full mock draft after this. We're going to do a couple mock drafts because there's a couple different variations to this strategy. But like I said, in round 1, Bijan is my 101. It really is a privilege to pick Bijan this year. If you have the chance, you're most likely clicking the button unless you're a Jamar guy, unless it's PPR, 3 wide receiver, whatever. You most likely have the 101 or 102, so we will build out of that slot, okay? Now, in round 2, a lot of people don't like the Trey McBride pick, all right? I personally do. So, in our mock drafts, we will do 1 mock draft with Trey McBride in round 2. We will do 1 mock draft without Trey McBride in round 2, okay? So he is my personal favorite pick. I realize the majority of people don't love paying for a tight end. So for the purpose of this discussion, this build we're walking through, we will go with wide receiver. If A.J. Brown's available, great. Drake London, probably not because he plays on the Falcons just like Bijan. Most likely you're looking at a T. Higgins, Garrett Wilson, Ladd McConkey. For the purpose of this team, we will pick Ladd McConkey, okay? In round 3, I find in just about every single draft, guys, that this round is just the hot spot, the prime place to draft a wide receiver. Tyreek Hill, undervalued. Devontae Adams, undervalued. Marvin Harrison, potentially overvalued, but with a really good ceiling. Jackson Smith and Jigba, criminally undervalued. So we're just going to let Bijan carry the running back position through these first 3 rounds, and we're going to go with Tyreek Hill in round 3. In round 4, I think Kittle is an absolute steal if you don't have Trey McBride yet. If you have McBride, or want to keep waiting on the tight end position, just enjoy the running back sweet spot. Some of these guys are rising to the 3rd round. Omarion Hampton and Ken Walker, mainly. All right. But Chuba Hubbard, James Conner, Alvin Kamara, James Cook, these guys are almost certainly available in round 4. And if you grab one of these running back 2s, you definitely have the best running backs in your league. So that is valuable. You will have people knocking on your door, on your trade office for Hampton, Walker, Hubbard, Conner, Kamara, because their running backs are weak. You will have it, and you can probably cash in on some serious top 12 positional value elsewhere, okay? So in round 5, I always like to give these options, but Joe Burrow in round 5, I really think if you went T. Higgins in round 2 maybe, I think he is a phenomenal pick. A phenomenal pick. And again, if you don't like to go early QB, okay, if you don't have T. Higgins, you're not interested, whatever, no big deal. Here it is a best player available scenario with RB and wide receiver because we have 2 of each on the roster so far. Maybe, right? So, RB targets, I have Montgomery, Caleb Johnson, DeAndre Swift. Wide receiver targets, Cortland Sutton, George Pickens, Jalen Waddle. All 6 of those players are undervalued in drafts. Even the rookie Johnson in round 5, I really think he's going to come in and just be Najee, but better. So, round 5 for that's a steal. In round 6, I really want a set-it-and-forget-it tight end 1. Sam Laporta, TJ Hawkinson, Travis Kelce, or better. And I think that this is the last call in round 6. Those guys are a clear tier above the others, Ingram and Njoku. I really prefer these guys over them. Not saying I don't like them, but with this draft guide, we want a tight end by round 6. They're every week starting tight ends. And when we have a player like Bijan, it really lets us go early at tight end, early at QB. So for this, we're going to take TJ Hawkinson. In round 7, my favorite round to draft a QB. There are top 3 ceilings in this round at QB position. Bo Nix, Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert. And who you select here, try to stack it with a pass-catching option on your team. Maybe you drafted Cortland Sutton previously, Trey McBride, Ladd McConkey. It's fine to reach a little bit on these guys. So we're going to go with Bo Nix. In round 8, this is where we look at the roster and start to assess. If we only have 2 wide receivers, all right, we're going for the wide receivers. Matthew Golden, Emeka Egbuka, Josh Downs. If you only have 2 running backs, all right, Brian Robinson, Jordan Mason, Travis Etienne, all monster picks. And then in rounds 9+, we're kind of just doing more of the same, balancing the roster. Javonte, Tyjae Spears, Cam Scatterbo for RBs, Tyler Warren, Dalton Kincaid, Jake Ferguson for tight ends. Wide receiver targets, Pearsall Mooney, who's now injured. We'll see how that goes, and Keon Coleman. There just really is a ton of upside everywhere. What I'd like to do now is hop into 2 mock drafts. The first one, we're going to draft from the 101. We're going to set these picks, okay? We're going to take Bijan. And the first one, guys, we're going to draft Trey McBride in the 2nd round. And we're going to walk through both builds, and I'm going to show you why I really like the McBride one a little bit more than wide receiver at 2 and 3. We're going to do that build right after this. So I've gone ahead and I've set those picks, 101 and 212 as Bijan and McBride. I'll remove my face cam so you guys can see the video. There you go. Okay, so in the first, Bijan was given to our team. We have Jamar off the board next, then Barkley, Jefferson, St. Brown, Lamb, Gibbs, Collins, Nakua, Henry, Neighbors, and Genty. Starting in the 2nd round, we have McCaffrey, Achane, London, Brian Thomas. Bowers goes at 205, hence why I think McBride is a value at 212, right? I think McBride's a value there because I view McBride and Bowers as way better than all the other tight ends. Yes, George Kittle included. And you can get McBride almost a full round after Bowers, which I love, okay? So we're up at the 301. Let us consult the draft guide for round 3. Spoiler alert, it is always wide receiver. Let's see who's available here. JSN, Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins. Oh, baby. Just take your pick. And Garrett Wilson. These are top 12 wide receivers. The floor for these wide receivers, points per game wise, is top 15. JSN, Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins, Garrett Wilson, every time at the 2-3 turn every single time. Let's go JSN. Doesn't matter who you take. We're taking JSN. So coming back to us now, going through the third round. After our JSN pick, we have Kyron Williams, Tyreek Hill goes, Allen, Hall, Higgins, Wilson, Jaden Daniels at 308, Chase Brown, George Kittle at 310, Jalen Hurts, and Joe Burrow to round of the third. In the fourth round, Terry McLaurin, James Cook, Mike Evans, Marvin Harrison goes, Rashee Rice, Devontae Adams, Kamara, Hampton, Connor, Metcalf, Moore at the 411, and we are back up. All right, so what does the draft guide suggest? Let's go to round 4. We don't need George Kittle because we have Trey McBride. It suggests to enjoy the RB sweet spot, end I quote. So let's take a look at the RBs, and yes, Ken Walker, Chuba Hubbard, both on the board. They are the picks here. Thinking ahead a little bit, probably would have been better to go with Tyreek Hill or a T. Higgins or a Garrett Wilson there in the third round because I'd love to draft Ken Walker here, but I don't want JSN and Walker, so I'll just go ahead and draft Chuba Hubbard. We're back on the board at the 501. What does the draft board select? It says, let's see, best available or Joe Burrow. Let's see. Burrow is gone, so now we will do a best available. Ken Walker, David Montgomery, those are the options at running back, so it's probably going to be a wide receiver here. And yes, Courtland Sutton is on the board. Welcome to the team, Courtland Sutton. So, through 5 rounds, guys, the roster's pretty good. Bijan and Chuba at the RB spots, JSN and Courtland Sutton at wide receiver, and Trey McBride. There is no weak point on this team. Both positions are completely valued appropriately, all right? And they have a very high floor, very high ceiling. Coming back to us in the 612, let's take a look at what the guide suggests. Last call on tight end, we already have them. So what we're going to do now is take best player available, RB or wide receiver. Swift is on the board. Caleb Johnson. We have Jalen Waddle, Calvin Ridley, and I really like DeAndre Swift. We easily have the best running backs in the league with Bijan, Chuba, and DeAndre Swift. Round 7 is for QBs, and we need to take a look at the stacks. So, Bo Nix or Kyler Murray, those are our options here. We have Trey McBride and we have Courtland Sutton. I'm going to go ahead and draft Bo Nix. I have him clearly ahead of Kyler Murray. So, through 7 rounds, Bo Nix stacking to Courtland Sutton and a guy named JSN also at the wide receiver position. Bijan, Chuba, and DeAndre Swift are our RBs. Swift in the flex, probably the best RBs in the league. Now, coming back to us in the 8th round, what does the draft guide suggest? It suggests to evaluate wide receivers versus running backs. So we only have 2 wide receivers on the team. We have 3 running backs. This pick is going to be a wide receiver. Diggs is on the board. Get in the team, Stephon Diggs. In round 9, balance the roster, guys. Best player available. We have Pearsall on the board, Josh Downs. I love those picks. Javonte is on the board. Let's go ahead and take Pearsall. Ricky Pearsall, we talked a little bit about him in the most recent video on the channel, guys, for second-year breakout wide receiver candidates. Make sure you watch that. An early candidate to be the next JSN. So, for 2025. So, definitely a very interesting player. Coming back to us in the 10. And again, guys, it's just all about balancing the roster. J.K. Dobbins is on the board. He can go ahead and, I'm going to take Tank Bigsby. We'll take Tank and J.K. at 10-12 and 11-1. We'll do that. And this is a serious team, guys. Really, really, really like the way this shaped up. So as you can see with the roster, as we're approaching the final pick of the draft in the 12th round, there is simply no weak point. There is best player in fantasy potential in Bijan. There is league-winning potential in McBride if he catches 6 to 8 touchdowns. High ceiling on the bench in Pearsall, Bigsby. Yeah, this team is awesome. Last pick in the draft, Kyle Williams can join the team. So, guys, the final roster. Bo Nix at QB, Bijan and Chuba at RB, JSN and Courtland Sutton at wide receiver, Trey McBride at tight end, DeAndre Swift at flex, and on the bench we have Diggs, Pearsall, Bigsby, Dobbins, and Williams. Now, we're going to do another mock draft real quick, a speed run of Bijan, wide receiver. And we'll see how that goes, okay? The reason I prefer the Trey McBride start, even if you're not a tight end guy, right, is because with that build, wide receiver is just so deep where you can afford to skip out on that second round wide receiver and find a guy in the 4th, 5th like Courtland Sutton, who is just as good, low-key, as those 2-3 turn wide receivers, and then you have a top 2 tight end. So let us begin yet again here. Start the draft. We are at the 101. We're going to take Bijan, and we will let this first round play out. I'll remove my face cam so you guys can see. This draft will be a bit more of a speed run. So the first round is going as follows. Bijan to us at the 101. Jamar, CeeDee Lamb, Gibbs, Barkley, Nakua, Jefferson, Neighbors, St. Brown, Henry, Achane, and McCaffrey. The second round starts with Bowers, Achane, Collins, Bowers, Achane, Collins at the 203, then Brian Thomas at the 204. Irving, 205, London, Taylor, McConkey, Brown, Williams, Kyron, and then Trey McBride at the 211. So we are up, guys, at the 212. And the strategy for this one is going to be wide receiver. Let's go ahead and do Tyreek Hill and T. Higgins. We drafted JSN last time. I'm hoping Ken Walker will be available for us at the 412. That would be awesome. Yeah, I mean, that would be awesome. I mean, if we can leave the first 4 rounds with Bijan, Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins, and Ken Walker, you have top 5 overall player in fantasy ceiling for every single position. All 4 of those guys. Pretty awesome. Metcalf goes, and then DJ Moore at the 411. So, yes. Ken Walker, wait. Oh, my God. Where did he go? Where did he go? Oh, 408. Okay. All good. So, we're picking between Chuba Hubbard and James Conner. Let's take James Conner. Is Joe Burrow available? He is not. So, what does the draft guide suggest in round 5? Let's take a look. In round 5, it suggests best player available. Chuba could come home. Courtland Sutton could come home again, but we just did that. Love me some Xavier Worthy as the 3rd wide receiver on our team. Yeah, let's do that. Let's take Xavier Worthy. Typically in a real draft, I would go Sutton and just do Bo Nix again, but let's just try to change it up. Never hurt anybody. And then in the 6th, at the end of the 6th, as you guys know, it's the last call for tight end. I see Laporta is off the board at 5'10". So if Hawkinson goes, he does go. Let's see if Kelsey goes. I hope not. Please don't go. Kelsey's on the board. We will take Kelsey here at the 6-12, last call for tight end. Kelsey, Hawkinson, Laporta, Kittle, or McBride. You want one of them on your team with this build. And then in the 7th, the guide suggests to draft a QB. And given that we have Kelsey and Worthy, I will go Patrick Mahomes. Welcome to the squad, Patrick Mahomes. We have a sort of a triple stack going here, or a double stack going. Mahomes to Kelsey, Mahomes to Worthy. And then in the 8th, since we only have 2 running backs, guys, we are going to go with a running back in the 8th round. Etienne's still on the board. Javonte, Ramadre. Etienne is off the board. We do have Javonte. Welcome to the team. Javante's on the squad. I don't love the wide receiver options, so we'll go Javonte and Cam Scottaboo to kind of marinate on our bench there all season. So through 9 rounds, team's looking really good. We have Mahomes at QB, Bijan and Connor, RB and RB, Tyreek Hill and T. Higgins at wide receiver. We have Travis Kelce, like Mike Tyson would say, at tight end. We have Xavier Worthy in the flex with Javonte and Scottaboo on the bench right now. Coming back to us here in the 10th round, balancing the team out, Kincaid, Loveland. I love these guys. We'll take Loveland just as a little bit of a insurance policy to Travis Kelce. Maybe he is the next Travis Kelce. For wide receiver, love me some Trey Harris. We will take him. And then finally, guys, in the 12th round, is probably going to come back to us. And these later round RBs, I'm always looking. J.K. Dobbins, Tank Bigsby. Austin Eckler is always a good pick. Ray Davis, those are some names I like. Dylan Sampson, absolutely love him. Probably just for the brand, going to go ahead and draft Dylan Sampson in the 12th round. I think that's a very nice place to draft him in your league. So, Dylan Sampson, 159th. ADP will join our team in the 12th round. And that's how we draft around Bijan Robinson, guys. Second draft of the day, we went wide receiver in rounds 2 and 3. So it ended up with Mahomes at QB1, Bijan and James Conner at RB, A+. Tyreek Hill and T. Higgins at receiver, A. Travis Kelce at tight end, B+. Xavier Worthy in the flex, B+. But we have Patrick Mahomes, so those could be A-rated. On the bench is looking very good. Javonte, Cam Scottaboo, Colston, Loveland, Trey Harris, Dylan Sampson, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video today. That's how you draft around Bijan, and these teams are going to be very hard to beat in 2025. Peace.